Welcome back to Rediscover Podcast, where we talk to people about how they rediscover their calling as they go through life. And today we're here with
Carter Nelms.
Nice to meet you. So tell me a little bit about yourself. What are you doing here at International Christian Film Festival?
So I am, I'm an actor. I
Okay.
had a film that screened on, I guess, day 2. This is my second year to know about it, first year to actually make it out here.
What film was it?
It was The Solution. We shot it over in Chattanooga, Tennessee last year.
Okay.
It'll have its public screening near that area, northern Georgia,
Okay.
June 7th. But it's a good little feature film about a father and son relationship, and
Oh, cool.
had a lot of fun making it. And it was my first time to see the
Really?
whole thing in full too. So,
Oh,
yeah, a
wow.
lot of fun.
So, I mean, it's a different kind of feeling, right? Like you're part of it, you know your part, you know how
Yeah.
kind of what it might be.
Yeah, you don't always know like exactly what the end product's going to be until you actually see it, even if you know the script and everything else.
Yeah. So what are the plans with that? Like, what are you guys trying to do with that film?
I believe that's going to be going to streaming. That would be a question for the producer to
Sure.
see the exact plans, but I believe he's got a couple other projects that are on Tubi TV and
Okay.
Tubi TV, and I believe that one's going to be there. I couldn't speak beyond that.
Well, I'm sorry I missed it. I'm just trying to know so I can go back and watch it now.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, on Rediscover Television, we might want to have it there too. We might want to license us to have it there.
Yeah,
So, yeah. So, how did you get into acting?
I actually got into acting after I was in my 9th year of software engineering at the same job, and that's really what I thought I was always going to be doing. I had started dating a young woman who she and her family had been really in Hollywood since they
Okay.
were kids. Whole long story with all that, but it was my first window into this world. She was working for a company in Nashville that did casting for some larger projects in that area. There was one day in particular, we'd planned to go out to dinner, and she called me and said, "Carter, I'm so sorry. I'm swamped with work right now, but I'd really love to hang out. You want to come hang out while I'm working?" And I said, "Honestly, I'd love to see what it is you're doing here."
Right.
And she was flipping through all these self-tapes, and I'd never seen any of this before. So it was first window into
All
this
new.
entire world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was really cool seeing, different people reading for these same parts and these different interpretations, and hearing her feedback and responses. Long time after that, I saw there was this one girl she really singled out. She wasn't the casting director. She was whittling things down for the casting director. That girl she singled out did ultimately get the part, and
Okay.
it was just
Wow.
really fun watching all this process. Yeah, and so I'm spending too watching it, I'm thinking this whole time, this looks like a lot of fun, honestly, but I didn't want to interject on something like that. I'm just a software engineer that's dating this girl, right?
So at this
But-
time, are you already Christian? Are you already kind of brought up in the faith? Okay.
Yeah, I grew up Christian. I was baptized at 11. Always felt like my deeper, how to say, even like a lot of my story took place in my 20s. Really hit kind of some of the most challenging stuff in life that got to my just rock bottom moment of praying when I was 25. Of going, I don't think I know I had never fully recognized I am going to die, and I mean spiritually, eternally die without God. It was, I'd not really recognized how much of a works-based spirit I had still been living by my entire life, and it was just a total, I can't do this. Not a moment of weakness, but a full-on, I'm done. Like, not a give up, like it can't be done, I can't do it. And that was, I can't say something just happened instantaneously in that moment, but it was in the next following months, as honestly some things got harder, but in ways that redirected and totally reshaped. Like I said, I was a Christian all this time, all my
Right.
life, but reshaped some things. Some misbeliefs I'd grown up in, not necessarily things I'd been taught, but just my own misunderstandings and wrong assertions. Even all of this is just such an ongoing process. I know it's going to be for us till the day we die, but
Well, there's so many stories of people coming to faith and oh man, then their lives just turned
Yeah.
around, that kind of thing. And so
Yeah.
a lot of these kind of stories like don't often get talked about.
Yeah.
There's also the prodigal thing and then coming back, but the kind of stories where you believe,
yeah,
but you're still struggling, and you're slowly developing
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. So there, one pastor had told me before, he's like, hey, some people are a Paul, conversion, big old
Yeah.
thing. Some people are Timothy, brought up in the faith,
Yeah.
and some people are Peter,
Yeah.
and they kind of suck most of the time at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of those stories don't get told,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm that guy,
Yeah.
right? Always, I'm a believer. When I came, I came, but then I kept,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I was
Yeah.
struggling through it and struggling through it because it does, like, you're changing your whole mindset
Yeah.
as your spirit is wanting that to change.
Yeah. 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 And it's kind of against when you're growing up, or when you're experiencing it in that way, it's against what you would think it would be. You
Right.
see those Pauls and that kind of thing. But I mean, Peter was the name that was coming to mind when you were talking. I was looking to come up, and I think of denying Christ 3 times, and like that's such a rock bottom.
Well, but and then people think, okay, and then Pentecost, and he preaches and
Right.
3,000, right? But then people don't, and then later
Yeah.
he's too ashamed of being with the Gentile. Like
Yeah.
he still was
Right.
working through.
But this was the rock, right, Peter, that Christ built the church on.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Gosh. Okay. So this was so Rediscover comes out of the idea that foundations of the world, God had a plan. Then we were born such a time as this to help fulfill part of that plan.
Yeah.
Right. We go through life, these things happen to us,
Yeah.
and then there's this moment where we rediscover the plan he already had in mind for us anyway.
Yeah.
Was it meeting that girl, looking at the acting thing for you?
Yeah, it was a massive one. So towards the end of our time dating, it was kind of a casual end to it all when it came into the end. So in the last week or so of dating was around the time I finally said, hey, this does look like a lot of fun. I finally just couldn't not say it anymore. It's like, I kind of want to try this. And so she sent me these sides, 2 different scenes, same character, said, hey,
Okay.
let's just shoot a self-tape just for the heck of it. See what you can do. So in all this, she actually worked right across the street from where I did, and I lived 5 minutes from home. So
Okay.
we took a day over lunch break, hopped over to my place. I'd had a week or so with these sides, been able to spin in my head a little bit, chew on them, and this wasn't any kind of trained work. It was just, or here's how I think I would go about it. We shot this tape, and this is my girlfriend at the time, right? I would expect at least hey, that's pretty decent, right? And there was this look in her eyes and face that just lit up. Her words and her mannerisms, everything was feeding, you need to be doing this.
Wow.
Even she said, I don't know what I was going to say if that were bad, but that was, go on and say everything. But she really uplifted me in a way that I couldn't not receive. And it's still, even after that, I was in that moment, and even just for a couple other things going on, that was just making me go, is this something God is actually pointing me into?
Right.
Talking about even all this rock bottom stuff from before, I've made the mistake of seizing something that I wanted to be true, that I wanted God to be leading me into.
Sure.
Going, oh, God's leading me into this.
Right.
So I was very cautious not to seize it.
To not make
in
it that way.
Yeah. So I sat on it for a month or so. We quit dating not too long after that, and so I was going to be on my own if I was going to do it.
Right.
In that month, 2 things happened. One, I couldn't get it out of my head, and 2, where I worked at the time, we made a new website for work, got new professional headshots done, and they accidentally ordered an extra.
Oh.
And so they came to me and said, hey, Carter, this is paid for.
You
If
want
you
it?
want it, you can have it.
Wow.
So,
So you had your headshot already
I had
for
my
free?
headshot, yeah.
Everybody
It
else
was,
paying $1,000
right, yeah,
for it?
yeah. And it wasn't an acting headshot. It was a, LinkedIn kind of a thing, but still, it was current. It was professional. It was perfect for getting started.
How long ago was this?
This was that self-tape was late May 2023. It was the week of the 4th of July when I took that headshot and started finding monologues I liked and looking up auditions I could find, and anything that had a public script or public sides for the self-tape, I would just leave online and use that when I submitted for other stuff. And I started with student films and that sort of thing, and did that for about a month. About a month in, at Belmont University, it was a 5-minute student film from this young woman that had this idea. She'd had it well before she needed it for
Yeah.
this project. It was something she might have made as an independent film if not
Yeah.
for this project. It was this faith-based student film that actually screened here last year,
Okay.
which is how I first came into
That's how you
knowing when I
first
see
got-
it.
yeah.
It was called In Situ.
Okay.
And a whole long story with all that as well, but it was something but even when all these other student films going on,
Yeah.
saw and believed in God's hand on this project. And that was what really sparked. I mean, I knew I would have wanted to do something like that, but that's what really sparked the faith-based direction.
What was the plot on that? I think I might have seen that.
Yeah, it took place in this art gallery. It was a black and white
Yes.
film.
Okay. So check this out.
Yeah.
So the director girl.
Barn Garrison,
Yeah. She wound up hanging out with my son last year the whole
okay.
week.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he was supposed to be working the table with me, and
Yeah.
they wound up hanging out the whole week. We saw it, and so you played Jesus in that,
played,
right?
yeah.
Okay, I remember that.
Which very particularly the film, this was a decision that she was even a little back and forth on, but it never says he's Jesus, and he's not
Right.
credited as Jesus.
Right.
Right.
I saw it. Yeah.
Because I almost don't want to say too much because it is
Yeah,
a
people
good
gotta
one
see it.
to see
I
and
liked it.
experience.
Yeah.
Good, yeah. That's
I-
very much part of it is this encounter of not being told that that's who it is and just encountering what's going. Anyway, it was such a pleasure.
It was
working on
cool.
that movie.
It was
Yeah.
really cool. Gosh, so, man, where can people find out more about you in case they see this and they want to talk to you and they need you to play something in their parts?
Absolutely. I'm most prominent on Instagram as far as what socials I'm using.
Yeah.
It's simply Carter Nelms. From there, I've got my other info linked, my personal page, that sort of thing. But if you look Carter Nelms on pretty much anything, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram,
find you.
etc., you'll find me.
Dude, I'll have to bring you back on my podcast in my studio up in Michigan.
Oh,
We're going to do a longer form.
Okay.
But that'd be awesome. It was great meeting you, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.